10 reasons why you should play Dead or Alive 2 Ultimate. Most of this list can apply to all versions of Dead or Alive 2 in some way, but specifically, we're going to be talking about Ultimate. It's cheap and available on the Xbox storefront and is enhanced to 4K 60. Reason number 1, it's a 3D fighter, which means you can sidestep, move all around the environments, and enjoy the beautiful scenery from about 10 million angles instead of the one angle you get in 2D fighting games. Directly sidestepping merely to dodge an attack is less of a thing here than in DOA 3, but sideways movement is still very crucial for throwing your opponent off axis, making them whiff right past you, or lining them up to be rocketed out of a window. Why do I love 3D fighting games with sidestepping?
It all goes back to Randy Pandy, my great-great-grand-nephew, twice removed. He found himself on the tracks with the train barreling down. Now, he had been playing a lot of 2D fighting games, so he didn't know about moving to the left or to the right. He only understood how to move toward the train, away from the train, or 10 feet in the air. Of course, never could jump that high. Not for lack of trying. R.I.P. Randy Pandy. Gone, but never forgotten.
Reason number 2, the universal counter system is unique, refreshing, satisfying, green, crisp, cold, full of phytonutrients. It's romaine lettuce. It's part of the core identity of the DOA series, and it really makes every single match more enjoyable. Normal fighting games are all about the nuance of when to actually push a button, but the low, mid, high counter system actually expands that nuance dramatically and does so in exciting fashion. Your brain is now not only considering when to block, position, attack with a low, mid, or high, or grab, but now it's also factoring in when to try a low, mid, or high counter. You have to pay attention to your opponent's moves to predict when a specific attack is going to fire, and then hit the corresponding counter for that attack. The resulting counter is always very satisfying and sometimes hilarious. Kasumi has one of my favorite counters in this game, where she catches your limb, jumps on top of it, and then launches a full jumping kick at your face. It's kind of hilarious and kind of awesome. Reason number 3. I know I may have told you about the biscuits before I mentioned the flour, but the stages are really beautiful, dynamic, and enjoyable to look at. They include epic and creative locations, gorgeous scenic vistas and overlooks, and the presentation is optimal. You can even yeet the opponent onto a hippopotamus, so you can stop asking for that, Grandma. You got your wish. There are 21 stages in this version, 3 of which have alternate stage conditions. It's kind of insane how good these stages look for a game that came out in 2004. You can even go back and watch old footage on YouTube from the original Xbox, and it still looks incredible. Again, the modern version is enhanced to 4K 60, so buckle up, we're having scrambled eggs with salsa. It's getting wild. Reason number 4. We just talked about the stages visually, but one of their aspects deserves its own specific focus, and that is the stage transitions. Through multiple tiers using cinematic cutscenes. You have not lived until you've kicked someone off the Great Wall of China and watched them tumble down about 300 feet of stairs like a bag of apples in the dryer, and then jumped down that 300-foot gap in a single bound, only to continue beating them like a rug in the desert. We'll French my toast and bust out the hammocks, because this game lets you do just that. I talked about how it's really cool to see a stage from 10 million angles, but with stage transitions between 2 or even 3 tiers, we're talking about an exponentially deeper experience and an absolute revolution for the player that happened in 2004, and to some extent, even in 1999 when the original DOA 2 came out. Mind you, when you yeet that bag of apples down the Great Wall, or through a stained glass window, or down a glacial crevasse, or through your dad's hot dog stand, you're not checking the stock market. You're not sipping yoo-hoo, you're watching a cinematic cutscene in a gorgeous environment that has real repercussions in a game that you created, and they damage the opponent's life bar, so you're also increasing your chances of winning. Reason number 5. Accessible combos. Among all the people who don't really like fighting games or don't really play them, or have tried them but can't really get into them, one common reason they give is the difficult or unapproachable inputs that some games have. Mortal Kombat on the N64 wanted me to hit the controller with a hot pocket. I just couldn't do it. Some games might want you to do something like a jumping heavy kick, into a crouching normal punch, into a quarter circle forward C, into a quarter circle back A, into a quarter circle forward half circle back A plus B, and all of that with precise split-second timing, which requires practice. In DOA 2, you don't have to do that. I mean, you can lab optimal moves to figure out what you can string together, but you don't have to. I'm not your mom. The inputs are very doable, there's usually not a laser-thin timing window unless you're doing a high-level string, there's very few motion inputs like quarter circle forward, and each character has an absolute ton of accessible options for basic combos. A normal basic combo might be punch, punch, kick, down, kick. Or Ayane has a punch so that you're turned around, and then once you're turned around, you can go punch, punch, forward punch, down, kick to do a basic combo ending in a low. It's nice to be able to do the thing that the game wants you to do while still leaving the hot pockets in the freezer. It lets you focus on the beauty of the stages, the enjoyment of the fighting mechanics, and the mind games between who's going to throw a low, mid, or high, and who's going to catch it. Reason number 6. The liberating stagger and stun system provides an immense amount of freedom, not only in the amount of options it provides the attacker, but also in the possibilities it leaves open for the defender. When you stun or stagger your opponent, you have essentially turned them into free real estate. From there, you can launch any kind of strike or mix-up you can imagine. You can also use that opportunity to strategically maneuver yourself around the environment, to line the opponent up for a stage hazard, or prepare for a damaging stage transition like launching them into an ill-mannered buffalo. It's a great time to set up a string that you've been practicing. You can also simply escape danger if you know you're about to be catapulted into a street sign. As a defender, you can actually still perform counter holds while you're inflicted with a normal stun or critical stun. In typical fighting games, stuns are defined by your inability to act, so the fact that the risk-reward metagame of guessing low, mid, or high for a counter hold is even carried over into a stun state really adds to the intensity and freedom in DOA 2, which is a complicated way of saying, "Oh, you can do all of the things!" It also helps to expand and actualize the idea in Dead or Alive that it's always your turn, which is a significant distinction from many other fighting games. Please note that counter holds cannot be performed during a crumple or limbo stun, which is basically a stun where you fall on the ground or it looks like you're about to fall. Reason number 7. The extensive practice mode, which is called sparring mode. This one's pretty straightforward. If you truly desire to experience what a fighting game has to offer, you're going to want to spend some time in practice mode. And this one is fantastic. Within this mode is command training, which is called exercise mode. You can learn and practice the enormous amount of moves for each character and decide which you want to try to implement. You can choose any stage and also reset positioning with a single button. You can also use this mode to figure out strings and explore stages. It's extremely advantageous to know which of your moves can lead into each other. It's also more enjoyable to play the game when you're more familiar with every breakaway wall that leads to a stage transition. One of the most impressive features of the mode is the ability to choose specific attacks for your opponent to repeat over and over again, so you can really practice the timing and inputs of low, mid, or high counter holds. Reason number 8. Watch mode. If you press the button on the side of your watch, you can change the mode. Reason number 9. Just kidding. Watch mode is a really cool feature where you can pick any 2 characters on the roster, or even 4 if you're feeling spicy and want to watch a tag battle, and have them fight each other on any map in the game. They fight each other at a fairly high level using a variety of moves, and there's a cinematic camera that is customizable. You can also choose the standard fight view. This is just a really enjoyable thing to watch. Some of the camera options focus on dramatic angles and quick cuts, and include slow motion during certain moves or stage transitions. The mode really comes off as an insane kung fu movie, and you'll even get some funny moments out of it sometimes. If you really want to have a good time, you and your friends can make up voices to the characters as you watch.
Oh no, I'm falling down the great wall! Oh no!
Your grandma's subpar crochet has led you here! Ha! Do not underestimate the entertainment value of watching a character dive kick another character off of the Great Wall of China, and then watching their body ragdoll down 1,000 steps, only to have them get up and continue the fight. You can put this on in the background while you're watching dinner or reading the digital collection of Martian Manhunter 98. Watch mode is also just a really cool way to passively absorb some of the information in the game, such as the capabilities of each character, where some of the wall breaks and stage transitions are, and certain aspects of a character's offense or defense that you may have been neglecting. Reason number 9, survival mode. This is just a whole different vibe. Instead of changing stages, it's one stage with crazy stage hazards on the border. Instead of rounds, it keeps going until you are no more. Instead of starting positions and character intros, the next character just jumps over a wall and runs at you. Defeated characters drop collectibles or health. The difficulty progressively ramps up as you defeat opponents. Some costumes and features can only be unlocked with this mode. There's actually a way to unlock all the costumes in the game at one time, but it involves playing survival mode very extensively and with all the characters. It could be a fun challenge if you're up for it, but it's also enjoyable to just unlock one costume every time you complete the story mode with a character. Playing this mode actually made me better at the game because of the pacing. Having no break between opponents essentially forced me to think quicker and come up with mix-ups and options faster, which led to an increase in skill. You're also inclined to not do the same moves over and over again, because with the never-ending barrage of characters, you would literally be doing them hundreds of times in a row, and that would be very boring. Also, as the difficulty ramps up, enemies get better at predicting your moves and countering them, so it incentivizes variety in execution, and you can take that skill into other modes. Reason number 10. The moment you choose to really dive into the game, there is an enormous deluge of content just waiting to bury you deeper than Gobekli Tepe. I finished story mode with all the characters, completed exercise mode with about half the characters, and brought 3 characters to a higher level of competency, and I feel like I barely scratched the surface. There's so much to unlock, experience, and practice that I could genuinely see someone spending hundreds of hours in the game easily. Let's talk about the modes for a second. The game has 7 genuinely entertaining modes that you can spend a lot of time in, including story, time attack, survival, tag battle, team battle, sparring mode, which is just practice mode, and watch mode. 8 if you count versus mode because you have a friend who plays fighting games, good for you. 9 if you count online mode, which is discontinued officially, but some people use emulation and third-party services to still get matches. And 10 if you count Depeche mode because words like violence break the silence. Many of the modes I listed are self-explanatory. We already talked about survival mode, but it's worth noting that many people over the years have composed entire musicals filled with the praises of tag battle mode. You can swap between characters in an instant and extend combos that way. You can also do some tag team throws and attacks, which really makes it feel like a different game. In between tag throws, you can actually have the extra character run to the gas station and get some Funyuns. You want to talk about more content? Well, pull up a chair, Dad. How much time do you have? The unlocks in DOA 2 Ultimate are insane. There are 3 fully playable characters to unlock, including Bayman, Hitomi, and Tengu, the final boss, whose nose is a hot dog for some reason. DOA 2 Hardcore for the PS2 had Bayman and Tengu as unlockables, but not Hitomi. That's because Dead or Alive 2 Ultimate actually came out after Dead or Alive 3 as a pseudo remake, and Hitomi premiered in Dead or Alive 3. Each character has many different costumes to unlock. Some characters have 6, 12, or even 21 costumes. Some of these costumes are fan service, which some of you will like. I did not, but I did appreciate having a wide selection of costumes to choose from. Again, some costumes are only unlocked through a lengthy journey in survival mode.
Sure of unlockables is the path you tread. Be warned, weary traveler. You must bind your constitution, lest you be bested of drudgery.
In conclusion, it's a great game. You should play it. If everyone suddenly developed a fascination with pigeons, the pigeon market would explode by this time next Tuesday. If more people started playing and showing an interest in 3D fighting games, game companies would start making more 3D fighting games, which would be great because the genre is currently in a dust bowl. Tekken had a recent release, Virtua Fighter had some fantastic remakes, and Dead or Alive had a new game 6 years ago. So that's basically 3 fully fledged 3D fighting games in the last 6 years, and one of them was a remake. Compare that to the hundreds of 2D fighters that have come out in the last 6 years, and you'll understand why I said Dust Bowl. There's also Soul Calibur, which I love, but the latest release was 7 years ago, and that's a weapons fighter. Tekken 8 was financially successful, and there's a lot of hype behind the new Virtua Fighter in development, so hopefully the genre can use this momentum and build on it. At the end of the day, we just need more companies to make more 3D fighting games, and until that time, you should play games like Dead or Alive 2 Ultimate because it's fantastic. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate you. My goal is to provide interesting information that is actionable, entertaining, and makes you laugh a little bit. I hope I accomplished that for you today. If you have any fond memories with Dead or Alive 2, let me know in the comments. If you want to support the channel, the best way to do that is by subscribing, clicking like, and letting the video play all the way through. I don't make these videos for an algorithm, I make them for people, so if you're one of those people, come say hi. I hope you have a fantastic day. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Oh no! Oh no!
That's right, you fall down that gray wall. Your grandma's subpar crochet has led you here. Huh.